Alright guys, we're back and we have one other thing that we need to find to get all our 5 things in place to be able to sketch the quadratic graph given the equation here, which is in completed square form. And that thing that we have to find that is left is the value of c. So we're going to get straight into it, and I'm going to show you 2 methods. There are actually several methods, but I'm going to be focusing on 2. And the first one that I'm going to be looking at is, I'm going to call this method 1. And essentially what I'm going to be doing is changing the completed square form to the quadratic form. Very simple, and it involves essentially expansion and simplification. So again, if you look at this, you're going to have 2x minus 1 all squared minus 8. And essentially what I want to do with this is to get it in the form ax squared plus bx plus c, and then I'll be able to see easily what the value of c is. So all I'm going to do is expand this. So it's simply going to be x minus 1 in one bracket times x minus 1 in the other bracket, and then minus 8. So I'm going to be focusing on expanding here. So it's simply going to be x times x is x squared, x times minus 1 is minus x, minus 1 times x is minus x, and minus 1 times minus 1 is positive 1. And then we put the minus 8 outside. So what I'm going to be doing is just simplify inside. First of all, I can go back to the parentheses brackets. So we have x squared. If you owe one xylophone and owe another xylophone, in all you owe 2 xylophones plus 1 minus 8. The next thing I'm going to be doing is multiplying everything inside the bracket by the 2. So 2 times 2x squared is 2x squared. 2 times minus 2x is minus 4x. And 2 times positive 1 is positive 2. And then the minus 8 comes back. So I'm going to proceed to simplify this. So we're going to continue with this here. So what we have here is 2x squared minus 4x, and of course 2 minus 8 is negative 6. And if you look closely, we have it in the form ax squared plus bx plus c. So what I did was to successfully convert from the completed square form to the general quadratic form here, which is 2x squared minus 4x minus 6. What that would mean is that therefore the value of c is negative 6. So we know clearly where the parabola will be cut in the y-axis, and that's the significance of c. So this is one method, again, changing the completed square form to the quadratic form here by basic expansion and simplification. Now, I'm going to look at another method now, which is very, very interesting, and that is actually working backwards using the roots, and that is a very interesting way to find c as well. So working backwards using the roots, and let us remind ourselves what the roots were. So the roots were negative 1 and 3. So what I'm going to be doing is working backwards to find the roots and then find the value of essentially of c. So we had x equals minus 1 and we had x equals 3, and those are the roots. So we're going to actually work backwards and generate the quadratic form and then be able to identify what c is. What do I mean? Let's proceed with this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to carry over the negative 1 on the left hand side, so it becomes positive, and this as well, x minus 3 equals 0. So essentially, again, we're working backwards from the roots, and of course what I'll be doing now is finding the product of these two. And there is actually something that is going to come up that is extremely important. All right, it's going to be extremely important in the grand scheme of things. So when we get to that point, I'm going to just make sure that I emphasize that because it's extremely important. So x times x is x squared. X times minus 3 is minus 3x, positive 1 times x is positive 1x, and 1 times minus 3 is minus 3. So x squared minus 2x minus 3 equals 0. So the issue is now, there's a 1 here obviously, but the issue is now that when we look back at the completed square form, because this is not finished, based on the completed square form, we know that the value of a is actually 2, right? So we have pointed out that the value of a is 2 based on the completed square form. Right now, we're looking at the value of a being 1, so clearly this is not finished because we know that the value of a is 2. And what that would mean is that we would have to multiply this quadratic equation here by 2 to ensure that we get a to be 2. And that is the part that you can neglect if you're not focusing on what a is in the completed square form. A is actually 2. The value of a is 2. Right now we have 1. So by multiplying everything by 2, we should be able to get the final quadratic. So I'm essentially going to multiply everything by 2 to get a to be 2, and then we're going to be golden. All right. So what we're going to have here is 2x squared minus 4x minus 6, and that would be our quadratic. And if you look carefully here, you're going to have that, and therefore the value of c is minus 6. So we have to be extremely careful with what we're doing, because some students would stop here and think that, oh, it's finished and done with. No, we have to be very careful about that. So these are two methods that we could have employed to find the value of c. Again, one of them was converting the completed square form to the quadratic form, and the other was working backwards from the roots. So I'm going to end the video here, and then when we come back, seeing that we now know all 5 pieces of information that we need, and that we now know that the value of c is in fact negative 6. That means that we have all 5 pieces of the puzzle, and when we come back, we're essentially going to be sketching the graph of the quadratic equation, which is in completed square form. So we'll be back in a minute.